Hello guys. So I wanted to make a video because I often have voiced how over the years the media has depicted my sister in a negative manner. So I just wanted to read one of the stories that was written about her and give my perspective. I want to preface by saying this story was written in 2006. Roughly just under 10 years to the date of her murder, and to remind whoever's watching that my sister was 12 when she was raped. She was strangled, and she was left on the side of the road. So just keep that in mind when you're listening to the words that they put together to call a story. So here it is. The title is A Reminder to Remember Georgia Moses. It was written August 28th, 2006 by Chris Coursey with the Press Democrat. I visited Georgia Moses's little roadside shrine the other day, thinking there might be something new. After all, she's been in the news quite a bit lately. It turns out that besides his interest in JonBenet Ramsey and Polly Klaas, celebrity riddle suspect John Mark Carr also expressed interest in the 1997 murder of 12-year-old Georgia when he was living in Petaluma in 2001. That's the bad news. The good is that on Friday, a new group home for foster children opened in Santa Rosa, and it was dedicated to the memory of Georgia. Leah Raleigh, founder of the Children's Village, said she was inspired to pursue the idea after learning of Georgia's death 9 years ago. It's nice to know Georgia hasn't been forgotten. Her memorial, though, doesn't reflect any renewed interest in her story or her still unsolved murder. Tucked under a redwood tree next to the Petaluma Boulevard South on-ramp to Highway 101, it is covered in dust and strewn with garbage. Dandelions provide the only fresh color. Despite the roar of traffic just a few feet away, its contemplative spot, a visitor can't help but think about the body of a 12-year-old girl lying here for 6 days before anyone bothered to report her missing, and another 4 days before a Caltrans worker came across her remains. One wonders if she would have been found sooner if she had been a rich white girl who disappeared from Rincon Valley instead of a poor black girl who vanished from the streets of Roseland, but skin color and address didn't determine her fate. Her family situation did. Georgia was neither a good kid nor a bad kid. She was just a 12-year-old trying to figure out what kind of adolescent she was going to be. I want to stop there, and this is when the story starts to go left. Georgia was neither a good kid nor a bad kid. I feel like that statement is a lie. My sister was a wonderful child. The fact that she cared for me, if you ask any of her friends, they can attest to the character that she had. So to say she was neither a good kid or a bad kid and just say she was a 12-year-old, it doesn't highlight the significance of how special my sister was. Unfortunately for her, and for what seems to be a growing number of kids in our community, she didn't have much guidance in that search. Her mother struggled with mental illness and lived with a convicted child molester. Georgia sometimes looked after her 7-year-old sister, laughed with her friends, danced, and dreamed of becoming a nurse. I don't know where that came from. I don't know who told him that. Whatever. But she also regularly left home for days at a time. She was street smart, often absent from school, sometimes in minor trouble with the law. Sometimes in minor trouble with the law. Where did that come from? my sister didn't get in trouble. We're like, I would love to know what exactly this minor trouble was, where these details came from. I feel like that was complete speculation. Well, I know it was complete speculation, which also doesn't add relevance to remembering my sister. Then one August night, she got into a car with a man in Roseland. If Georgia Moses had managed to become a teenager, stop there. I want to say what I'm about to read next is extremely distasteful. To preface your article, to title your article, A Reminder to Remember Georgia Moses, and then you proceed to say the things that are next for me to read, is the problem I have with the media. Again, my sister was 12. She was murdered. She was strangled. She was left on the side of the road. In addition to being failed by the police, being failed by Child Protective Services, being failed by the school system. So, yeah. If Georgia Moses had managed to become a teenager, she might have ended up in a place like the Children's Village or Juvenile Hall, which is juvie, or a court-ordered residential program that tries to change the ways of rebellious adolescents. If Georgia Moses had managed to become a teenager, she might have ended up in a place like the Children's Village or Juvenile Hall or a court-ordered residential program that tries to change the ways of rebellious adolescents. Hundreds of Sonoma County kids end up in such places every year, and yes, it's true. Many of them go on to become healthy, productive adults. I don't even understand the purpose of this paragraph. You start off by saying, if my 12-year-old sister wasn't murdered, wasn't raped, wasn't strangled, wasn't left on the side of the road, her fate probably would have been juvie, some court-ordered rehabilitation program, or children's home. And then you go on to say, well, there's many kids like her become successful in the end. So I'm confused, for one. But then I'm also disturbed that an article written to memorialize my sister, I would hope in a positive light, paints a fate that isn't ideal. Like I said, my sister didn't get in trouble. Okay. Because Georgia never had the opportunity, the best we can do now is prevent more Georgias from slipping through the cracks. There are those who will call or email me today. Stop. I don't understand the purpose of this portion either. I don't understand how a writer, a reporter, somebody that has the privilege of allowing the world to remember a murdered child in a positive light, I don't understand how they would put together these words to make this story. Like, I don't understand how you have the understanding that there was this 12-year-old child that was murdered, and you decide that you want to write a story about her, and this is the crap that you decide to write. I don't understand that. I don't even understand how some of the things that are written you even feel okay with. Like, okay, I'm sorry. There are those who will call or email me today to say the solution is for people like Georgia's mom not to have children. I'm going to read that again. There are those who will call or email me today to say the solution is for people like Georgia's mom not to have children. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to wipe my nose, sorry. My mom she has bipolar schizophrenia. I feel like there's a lot more to that time of our lives that people don't talk about, that hasn't been confirmed. But all I'm going to say is I feel like my mom was targeted. At that point in her life, she was not capable of raising us. And she tried through her own means to get help for herself and get help for us. And the state did not listen. And to write this portion, because there's more to it, and speculate, not even have it happen, but to speculate and say that the solution to a problem that is my sister's murderer is still out there somewhere. The solution to that problem, the solution to evil people existing and choosing to take the life of a child, the solution to that problem is for people like my mother to not have children. Which would mean that I would not be here. I don't understand how you can speculate that being a solution to a story that you're writing about a 12-year-old child that was murdered. I don't understand how those two go hand in hand. There are those who will call or email me today to say the solution is for people like Georgia's mom not to have children. In fact, I'll get calls saying everyone ought to knock off getting knocked up because there are just too many children in the world. And overpopulation is the root of many of our problems. In fact, I'll get calls saying everyone ought to knock off getting knocked up because there are just too many children in the world, and overpopulation is the root of many of our problems. Let me remind you guys that the title of this article is a reminder to remember Georgia Moses. There is some truth to that. But we don't live in the kind of country that legislates the size of families, and people like Georgia's mother aren't likely to respond to such things as tax incentives for family planning. There is some truth to that. But we don't live in the kind of country that legislates the size of families, and people like Georgia's mother aren't likely to respond to such things as tax incentives for family planning. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So we're going to have kids among us whose parents are too debilitated or distracted by their own problems to take care of their own children. We might be justified to respond, those children aren't my responsibility, but we wouldn't be right. When the family breaks down, the community is left with a choice. Take on the responsibility of guiding the child through the storm that is adolescence, or be prepared to see more roadside shrines like the one next to Highway 101 in Petaluma. It's a monument to indifference. So, this article titled A Reminder to Remember Georgia Moses, who was my sister, who at the age of 12 was raped. She was murdered. She was thrown in the bushes along the highway, and she was left there to not be found. This article is to remind people about my sister. And this is the crap that they wrote. She could have wound up in juvie. Her mom should have not had children. Not that somebody who had the capacity of murdering a child and trying to cover their tracks where they put the body somewhere that wasn't meant to be found. Not that they're still out there. Not that they haven't been brought to justice. Not that my family doesn't have closure because her murder is still unsolved. When this article was written, 9 years had passed. 9. Almost to the day of her death. And I don't understand. I'm not even going to try to understand because it's not meant to be understood, because it shouldn't even be a thing, how the media writes this type of crap. Not only are they victimizing my sister, not only are they creating solutions. First of all, this article is like, it's a bipolar article, if you ask me. The second half of it was not even necessary. I don't know why Chris chose to use my sister as the topic for what seems to be a shot at population control. I don't know. I'm really trying not to get upset because my sister did not deserve this story. Like, this person should not even written a story on my sister. I just wanted to share with you all, because this was my first time reading this story. I came across it last week, and I was really hurt by it. Because these are the kind of stories that I read over the years. I think this one definitely takes the cake. But over the years, when I would Google my sister, these are the kind of stories that would come up. Lies, victim blaming, just crap. And my sister, in her 12 years, did so much to positively impact other people's lives that this type of remembrance is a slap. It's a slap to my sister. It's a slap to me. It's a slap to my family. It's a slap to all the friends that cherish my sister for who she was. And it's a slap to victims. So, the purpose of me reading this was just to share what has been written distastefully about my sister. But my blood is boiling. I just pray, because that's all I can hold on to, is my faith that these type of stories won't be written. My sister was 12. She was a 12-year-old baby girl that somebody chose to take advantage of and take away from the people that loved her. And to have a platform where you have the potential of reaching the world, and you choose to take the little opportunities that people have chose to take in to write about my sister, to shed light on a case that is still unsolved, to shed light on a girl whose family is hurt because she's no longer here. To have that power and you abuse it in a manner that is inexcusable, to have that power and you just destroy the memory of my sister by writing this, I don't know what to say to that. I don't know what to say. I'm not going to keep rambling because I try and stay positive. I try not to speak out of character, and I don't have anything positive to say about this article, this person, and definitely the Press Democrat. I don't support them. I don't support their paper. I don't support anything. And if they listen to this at any point, please do not write about my sister ever again. Ever, 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 ever. And that is it.